Don't worry, Georgia, you're not going to get in trouble. Good morning, Unity North. Good morning, Sylvia. Good morning, everybody. I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm Reverend Averill, if I haven't gotten a chance to meet you yet. And it is just an absolutely beautiful pre-spring day, right? We don't want to call it spring yet because we want to honor the energy that is winter, and who knows what it could do in 2 weeks. This is Georgia, right? I invite you to just take a moment and let's converge in prayer together. There's a few people still coming in, and I'll let them come on in. But take a few deep breaths and let the breath call you home. I often reflect that every breath is a prayer. Every breath is an affirmation of a moment of continued existence. Feel the breath as you breathe in, energizing your body. And as you exhale, you release anything that does not serve you at this time. And we pause and we reflect on the energy that is community here in the room, but that also extends beyond these physical walls, energetically out into the community, to those online watching now or at a later time. And we can feel our connectedness from heart to heart. Take another deep breath in and really focus in on the heart, and that space where today we will learn to connect with the energy of bravery and roaring like a lion. And we offer gratitude to the highest consciousness, the source and creation of all, for this time together. For this time in love and learning and energy and sharing, we say, Amen, Amen, Amen.
Amen. And thank you so much, Averill. You know, we're all heroes on a hero's journey, yes? Getting to new awarenesses and new exciting adventures for each and every one of us. And we're doing it together and collectively, yes? So I'm going to invite you to stand up on your feet if you are able. And we're going to sing this opening song about walking each other home to the magnificence of our very soul. Welcome to those online, those in the room. Don't hold back. Let's go ahead and kick this in, and let's sing this like we've never sung before. We need a little clapping now. Here we go. We walk the path of love and a path of grace. We walk the path of service and a path of faith. We walk the path of spirit, the path of Mother Earth. We walk the path of peace now, and a path of rebirth. Let's hear it now. As we walk all these paths, we know we're not walking alone. With everybody in every place now, everyone is walking home. Everyone is walking home. Everyone is walking home. Everyone is walking home. Everyone is walking. Good. Turn to your left and walk home to somebody, a friend or a family member. Let them know you are grateful they are here this morning. Welcome those of you online. We're so grateful that you have walked to your computer to join us in heart and in spirit here today. Thanks so much for joining us. We value you, we cherish you, and we're glad you're here. There's somebody in the room you don't know well. Go say hi. To meet a stranger or a friend you haven't met yet. All right, let's come on back and let's start that song from the beginning and let's sing it one more time. Michael, I need just a little more. I can't hear myself up here. All right, here we go. We walk the path of love and a path of grace. We walk the path of service and a path of faith. the path of spirit, the path of Mother Earth. We walk the path of peace now, and a path of rebirth. Let's hear it, Unity North, as we walk all these paths. We know we're not walking alone, with everybody in every place. Now let's hear it, Unity North. Everyone is walking home. Everyone is walking home. Everyone is walking home. Put a big tag on it. Everyone is walking home. Give yourselves a round of applause. You sound great this morning. I'm going to switch to the other microphone now. Well, we're grateful that you are walking home, that you've walked home to be in this space and in this room today. And we are so grateful that you brought your light, especially if you are here for the very first time. We want you to know that we value you. We appreciate you. Not working? Now it's working? Yeah, my best sermons look like that. I want you to know that if you're here for the first time, we appreciate the light that you brought into our space, and we hope that it feels a little bit like home. We want to do whatever to help you feel at home, and so we have a welcome team. This is cutting in and out, isn't it? All right, it's spotty. We're going to the microphone and take care of that problem right now. This is the welcome team. They would love to reach out to you to help you know a little bit about Unity North and what we're all doing here. But if you're here for the first time, put your hand up. Welcome to our home, welcome to our family, welcome to our community, welcome to this moment, and welcome to Unity North. We're grateful that you are here. If you're brand new, you can text NEW to that number up on the screen right behind me, and you can get a lot of information about what's going on here at Unity North. Just a few announcements before we get into the service and bring Tempe up here to sing. Praying Pause is happening today. Unity North, we honor our four-legged furry friends, our feathered friends, and we have a service once a month, and that's our Praying Pause service. That is today at 2 p.m. It's going to be at the Labyrinth in the back parking lot. It's going to be, look at the weather. Are we blessed or what? Yes? So bring your pets, bring your husband if that is your pet, and we'll see you at the Labyrinth. Chaplain training. You know, our chaplains are in duty here every week holding the unbroken awareness of the presence of God. I'd like our chaplains to stand right now. Jagrati is over there in the corner, Marie, Nancy, and John. They're here. The whole service holding the magnificence of your soul. They're knowing the truth of the unbroken awareness of the presence of God doing business as you. If you'd like to be reminded of that, they're here to hold prayer. Or if you just want them to hold the consciousness for you, there's a basket in the back, a box right back there. They'll take your prayer requests, and for 30 days we will hold that truth about you. Also want to let you know that there's going to be a training. How many people have ever been greeted at the front door of this place and felt so welcomed by somebody who was ushering at the front? Look at that. Well, guess what? We're going to ask you to pay it forward. You know, when we started passing the baskets again after COVID, it was like, gosh, we need to get trained again, and we need a bigger crew. So Jim Sanford is right there. Wave your hand, Jim. Jim's in the back. He would love to invite you onto his team. And please see Jim right after the service, and then right after the service next week, we're going to do, I promise, about a 10 to 15-minute training on how to be an usher in this church. We don't complicate it. We keep it simple. But see Jim after the service. Singles, the Singles movie and potluck is this coming Saturday. Al, raise your hand. Where are you, Al? Al would love to have you join him. What time is that event? 12 to 4 in this room or downstairs? Open to everybody. All right, so that'll be next Saturday from 12 to 4, singles, potluck, and movie. I think that's all I've got for announcements, other than to say I'm always delighted and thrilled to have Tempe Redhawk in the room. And she's an amazing songwriter, an amazing singer. And I think she's got some fans here. Not only is Tempe going to sing for you today, but there's a couple of points I'm making I want her to make because she makes them way better than I do. Please welcome our guest singer today, Tempe Redhawk.
I love you guys. I've sung in the shadows and the the sunshine. I've danced in the winter and the spring. I've walked in the light. Sometimes I was so blind. I've known joy and I've known pain. Watch the sunrise and the sunset. I've chased some dreams and watched them die. I found the love of a lifetime. Now I see how lifetimes fly. I've been a sinner and a saint. I've walked through rivers that drowned me. I've looked at mirrors that told me the truth, but it was love that found me. I've been a victim and a healer. I've been praised and I've been shamed. Oh, I've been the cursed and the redeemer. I've been blessed and I've been blamed. I've been a sinner and a saint. I've walked through rivers that drowned me. I've looked at mirrors that told me the truth, but it was love that found me. I need the light and the dark, the lost and the found. Perfect love reveals the truth of the sacredness I am. Yes, it was love that found me. Oh, I've been a sinner and a saint. I've walked through rivers that drowned me. I've looked in mirrors that told me the truth, but it was love that found me. Yes, it was love that found me.
Tempe Red Hawk, Jeannie Bailey, Unity North Band. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, I love that song because it talks about the humanness. We are human. How many human beings do we have in the room? We come together and we celebrate the light. We celebrate the Christ, the Buddha nature, the magnificence of our very soul, the spiritual reality. But it's also important that we also recognize the human part of us, the sinner and the saint. You know, not sinner the way maybe it was defined in your upbringing, but just the recognition that we are human beings and we make mistakes, we fall down, we screw up, and we get back up again, yes? And I love being part of a community where we can have the awareness that we're all of the above. One is not better than the other. We're not in an earth skin and an earth experience by accident, but it's a divine appointment. We are here to bring something, to live our humanity fully and completely with courage and with strength, because if you notice, walking the earthly journey isn't always easy. Have you noticed that? Yeah, I've noticed. Maybe I'm the only one who's falling down. But the reality is, it is important that we recognize that it takes a great deal from us, a great deal of courage. Now, the average age here is my demographic. You probably recognize the old adage that March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb. I don't know if you were here. Sometimes it's the other way around, but let me tell you, what was going on in my backyard the other day was a lion was roaring. Sirens went off, there were tornado warnings and power, and my trees were going like this in the backyard. It came in like a lion. I'm hoping that it means that today is a symbol that we're moving into lambness, yes? But today is the first of a two-part series based loosely on that adage, in like a lion and out like a lamb. Today we begin like a lion. Let me hear your roar. I'm a little scared now. Living life more courageously. How would life be? How many people in this room would love to live life with a little bit more bravery and boldness and courage, and to make the world a better place through your willingness to be fully and completely you? Yes? Now, that doesn't sound as good as the roar. How many would like to live more boldly, courageously, and with strength and power? Yes? Now we're on board. We got it. French-Cuban author Anais Nin once said this. Let's put the next slide up there. 3, 2, no. There it is. Together. Life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage. See, the life that we're living, the magnificence of our life or the narrowness of our life is going to depend on the courage and the boldness and the bravery we're bringing to the table, to the moment, to the relationship, to the earth. Putting those in my words, I would say that the life we are experiencing today, good, bad, or otherwise, is a direct reflection of our desire and our ability to live life wide open. And I invite you to repeat after me. I live life wide open. And to examine any part of you that goes, I'm a phony when I say that. I live life wide open. Is there another part of me that can be shown to the world? And where have I made apology for that part of me? Where have I said it's not safe to let the fullness of my being be shown? One of the most persistent calls of the human hero's heart is to find the courage needed to help our life expand in the most glorious ways. And that's always easy, isn't it? Is it really? Is it easy? There's nothing easy about it. If you're looking for the easy path, you've come to the wrong church today. There's an easy path where you don't have to live wide open. You can just live by somebody else's rules and then forever let the part of God expressing at the point of view die because it's just, I have to be too bold and too brave. So we challenge you to be the magnificent soul that God would have you be, to ask the questions, how do I create the extraordinary in the midst of the ordinary? How do I bring the extraordinary into the ordinary life? How do I live boldly and courageously, wide open like the light of God that I am? Say with me, I am the light of God. And then ask that question that Janice Stanfield asks in her song, what would I do if I were brave? What would I do if I were brave? And a question that we ask collectively of our congregation, this gathering, is what would we do? What would we as a collective do if we were brave? What could we achieve? What would be possible if we were brave enough, as all the great masters and teachers did, to live life wide open? And I want to begin by, first of all, acknowledging that nobody would be in this room. Not one person would be in this room if you didn't have a series of moments in your life where you overcame, where you decided to pick yourself up off the ground and try again, where you didn't overcome some obstacle, some mistake, some betrayal, some moment in your life where you didn't say, there's more of me here than this circumstance, so I will get back up again. So pat yourself on the back. Take your hand and pat yourself on the back. We should be proud of that. We should recognize the parts of ourselves that were accessed when life was down, when it was dark, and we found something deeper inside of ourselves. That's a hero's journey. That's a hero's heart. That's a hero's job. That succession of moments, job well done. And it's important to recognize today that those long string of moments didn't necessarily, they weren't defined by quantum leaps across chasms of insurmountable obstacles. They weren't necessarily insurmountable obstacles or impenetrable problems or an army of adversaries. Extraordinary courage is mostly found in often overlooked moments of day-to-day living, of life. The overcoming that's happening every day when nobody is paying attention. The overcoming moments of just being a human being, trying to make your circle of influence a little bit better. You see, lions don't often get applause. And here's the best thing. Lions don't need applause. Lions don't live on applause. Lions live on being a lion. Yes? In her book, The Bold Life, author Tess Marshall writes this. Let's go ahead and read this together. A bold life is when a person does what it takes to speak their truth, walk their walk, and use their gifts and talents with joy, passion, and meaning. How many people make every effort possible to walk the talk, to share your truth without apology, to share your truth without excuse, but to walk your walk and use the gifts and the talents that you have been given to simply make the world a better place through joy and through passion? I want to submit something to you. Clark Kent was no less courageous than Superman. I used to watch, how old I am, the Superman series, and Clark Kent was no less courageous than Superman. He wasn't flying around through the air. He wasn't lifting trains off of the track. But what he was doing was consistently being kind. He was consistently speaking up for the marginalized and the downtrodden. He's always there as a champion of everybody that was around him. He consistently encouraged others. Consistency is a part of the spiritual hero's journey, yes? In fact, I invite you to say that consistency is a part of the hero's journey. Together, consistency is a... I have two stepsons I want to introduce you to. One of them you've met before. His name is Casey. Casey was one of the first ones that got on a plane and said, I'm going to Ukraine. And I'm going to go on the border of Poland, and I'm going to get families across that border. I'm going to bring food, I'm going to bring supplies, and I'm going to be present. Casey was very public about his heroic deeds. He's the first person to rush into a burning fire, and he's done that. A burning house, and he's the first person, I don't know if it's because he likes to fight or if he really wants to make peace, but he's the first one to jump into the middle of a fight and try and stop it. Very public acts of bravery and courage that I'm very proud of Casey. But I want to introduce you to Casey's brother, Lance, another stepson that I have. Lance is not going to fly to Ukraine and take people across the border. Lance is not going to jump into the middle of a fight or into the middle of a burning building. Lance is the one who takes every moment of his very ordinary existence and he encourages people when nobody's looking. He uplifts people when nobody's paying attention. He supports his family and anybody who is associated with his family in tremendous ways. He's the first one to offer financial support to those that are in need. Nobody's watching. He doesn't need applause. He's a lion, though. He's the first to call his mother and check in, even when it is inconvenient. You see, Casey, we may get a call on his mother's birthday. He's too busy saving the world. But Lance is the first one to reach out, even when it's not convenient, and say, how you doing, Mom? Are you okay? What do you need? That's a hero to me, no less than Casey. He is the first one to offer his substantial means. He is in the top 10% of money makers in the world. But he doesn't live that way, and he doesn't brag about it. But when there's somebody in need or an organization that needs help, he is the first one to reach into his wallet and say, I'm there. Nobody's putting his check on the news like they are Casey, who made the news several times. Yet Lance is a hero. He does all of this without applause or praise for his heroic deeds. He just does it. What was it, Nike? Just do it. Say that with me. Just do it. Sometimes the most heroic things are done when nobody is watching, and the extraordinary right in the midst of the ordinary. Without scaling tall buildings in a single bound, courage comes in many forms, and no one form of courage is more important or necessary than another. It is the day-to-day acts that lift the water in the harbor for the human race and for the earth. And both Casey and Lance, as well as the courageous soul that is housed in your skin, that is housed in your life. There are many expressions and manifestations of courage. Today I want to offer you my list. Sometimes the unnoticed ways that courage shows up. Here's my list. Let's go ahead and put the list up there. Number one, let's read it. Courage isn't afraid to believe the unimaginable. This is the faculty of imagination as taught by Charles Fillmore, our founder. The imagination, the ability to see a vision and to watch it manifest. The world will tell them that they can't do it. The world will tell the lions, you can't do it, it's impossible. And the lion says, watch me. Watch me. I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. This church is a manifestation of believers who did not accept the impossible, who did not accept the limits of financial resources, did not accept the limits of people and volunteers and the supplies and the resources to do it. They just did it. This church is a symbol of lions, lion-hearted people. When lions roar, God makes a way out of no way. When lions roar, God makes a way out of no way. Say that with me. When lions roar, God makes a way out of no way. Number 2, together, courage isn't afraid to be patient. We think that courage is about rushing in, immediately jumping on the fire, doing whatever it takes, but sometimes the most patient are the most courageous. When things go south or change course, giving up is often the easiest way out. It didn't happen when it was supposed to. I have people in this community who prayed for a healing, who prayed for a change or a shift or a relationship for months and months and months until it showed up in their field. And that took courageous patience. I have other people who prayed twice, meditated twice for the healing, for the perfect relationship, the perfect bank account, and said, see, it doesn't work. Patience takes a lion's heart. Patience. You ever watch a lion stalk its prey? Sometimes we think Hero looks like the lion that's jumping and attacking. But I'm telling you that sometimes quitting is a coward's way out, and sometimes jumping is the fool's way out, and sometimes patience to stay the course, work the program, work the system is exactly what is needed for the lion to roar. I look at some of the outreach ministries here at Unity North that required incredible patience, and many people don't know the backstory. It took 9 months of talking to Family Promise, 9 months of talking to the staff and the board here at Unity to figure out how in the world we could house 4 families. How do we do that? And 9 months later, Family Promise is one of the most successful ministries, and we are a partner with 13 other congregations that are watching lives be changed. The volunteers for Family Promise don't get a lot of applause. They just do the work. But as a minister, I watch and I notice. I see Jason Haley. Jason Haley sitting there and his wife, Rosie. Nobody's applauding or standing on a podium saying, way to go, guys, when they're moving beds. They're making beds. They're setting it up. Family Promise is here because a lion had patience. Also, our weekly food drive. This isn't possible. How in the world can we do this? 900 people being served food, it's not possible. Yet we kept diligent and patient to the vision that was there, and we invested in that vision, and now we're serving 200 to 300 families that would not eat without the food that we provide here today. Jeannie Ruiz is a lion who has the patience to come every single week with her wonderful volunteers. Alice is somewhere, Jim, they're in the room somewhere. Every single week they are here, patiently waiting for the food truck to show up so that somebody's life can be made better. That takes a lion heart. That takes courage. Number 3, let's read it together. Courage isn't afraid to say no. Sometimes we think that heroes are all about saying yes. Mine to do, mine to do, mine to do. Sometimes it's about saying no. As I look at my grandchildren, the most successful of my grandchildren were the ones that grew up in Lance's house, the ordinary man. Because Lance knew how to say no. All my grandchildren are amazing and wonderful, and there's 15 of them. 3 of them have risen to become successful. Their life is full and rich and beautiful. And if I were to pick one thing about why they're more successful than the other grandkids, and don't repeat that I'm saying this, it's because Dad and Mom knew how to say no. And other Mom and Dad went yes to everything. Yes, yes. Sometimes it takes a great deal of courage to say no to something that really shouldn't happen on your watch. an experience that should not happen on your watch. Sometimes no takes all the boldness and strength that you've got within you to say, no, this isn't going to happen here on my watch. It's not safe, it's not right, it's not ethical, it's not moral. No. That takes a lion's heart. Now, I'm proud of all my grandkids, but boy, I sure wish I made as much money as those 3 grandkids who were told no. They're very successful. Number 4, let's read it together. Courage isn't afraid to take an unpopular stand. Anybody ever stand alone when you were the lone voice? And everybody, I've been in those moments where it's like we all agree, let's get this done, let's get this done. And there's a line of us, and you go, yes, let's get it done. And then everybody else takes a step back. That's a critical crossroads moment. Do I have the guts and the courage to be behind my vision and my conviction? Will I sweat it out even when the world is attacking me? And where'd you all go? Where'd you all go? I've been in that scenario a number of times, and my whole life I lived scared of that scenario. I was the one doing this. Go ahead, you go first. You go first. I'm not afraid to do that anymore. And I'm grateful for the people who challenged me to be a lion and to not play small. Standing alone when so many other voices is one of the most uncomfortable things that any of us can do. Yet with any study of history, it was the courageous lion's voice that stood alone and changed the face of the planet and the world. At UNA, there were 2 things, and I will take credit where credit is due. I'm not afraid or ashamed. I'm not proud about it. I'm proud of it, but I'm not prideful about it. I had to push a lot of people, and to stand like a lone voice. I believe we can have a labyrinth here at Unity North. I believe this is possible. Where'd you all go? No, we don't have the space. We don't have the time. We don't have the ability to do it. We don't have the resources. How are we going to do it? And Dan, Glenn, and I went to the back and we started digging. And we cleared with a lot of sweat when we were the lone voice. We have a labyrinth today that is a cornerstone of this ministry. A beautiful spot in our back parking lot. If you don't know about it, go back there and look at it. It is holy, it is sacred, and I'm grateful for the lions that maintain that labyrinth. But it took a lot of push and shove and standing alone. The other thing is an organic garden. There were 3 of us at the beginning, so I think this is possible. I think we can have an organic garden where we share vegetables with the world and with each other and with the congregation. All it was a bunch of thorny bushes and a lot of trash back there in the back parking lot. You're a fool. Can't do that. Not possible. Not going to happen. All right, let's sweat it out. I think it's possible. Week after week, let's go out and let's start tearing the vines out. What are you doing? You can't do that. There's not enough property back there. I invite you to go back and look at our organic garden that stands today. Don Simon, Lenore Bush, and myself. Let's get her done. And we got it done. Now it's one of the most successful things that we do on this property. So if you're part of the organic ministry, raise your hand. That organic garden, if you're in the room, thank you. Thank you, thank you. If you're part of the labyrinth, keep your hand up. If you're part of the labyrinth ministry, thank you. You are lions that did not believe in the impossible. Yes? Number 5, courage isn't afraid. Let's go and read it together. Courage isn't afraid to ask for help. Oh my gosh, that's been labeled as weak for so long. Have you noticed that? You got to ask for help, you're weak. You know what? I get a lot of credit for where UNA stands today. I get to come up here and I get applause and I get attaboy, way to go, you're doing great things. I'm very public. But let me tell you, it wasn't my ability or my talent. It wasn't my ability to sing a song or to speak or to do anything behind the scenes that got the church where it is today. It was my ability to say, I need help. I don't know how to do this. When I took over this job, and I don't know how many years ago it was, I was a deer in the headlights, and I had no idea how to do it. And we stand today on the backs of people who were willing when the minister said, help, help. I don't have any idea how to run a church. I don't have any idea how to run a business. And I remember a moment where the lion stood with me, knowing that I was absolutely shaking in my boots. His name is Ted Worrell. He's sitting right over there. He was a lion and said, let me introduce you to a balance sheet. Let me introduce you to what it takes to run a successful business. Oh, and by the way, the lion told me no a number of times. But the reality is I stand on the backs of people who were willing to put their hand out when I had the guts and the courage of a lion to say, help me. I don't know how to do this. And so I mark every board member, every staff member, every volunteer that ever put their hand out when the leadership of this church says we don't know how to do this. And we didn't. Some say we still don't know how to do it. But the reality is we learned because we were willing to ask for help. It is a sign of strength. It is not a sign of weakness. Yes? It takes courage to humbly say, can you help me? Number 6, let's read it together. Courage isn't afraid to show genuine emotion. One of the things I'm most proud about this community is that we can live transparently. It's okay to cry. It's okay to hurt. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be upset, because it all has something to teach us. I remember the moment that somebody introduced me to the human man named Jesus. My whole life I was talking about the Christ, the spiritual reality, this unattainable reality, this light of the world, and I was told I was a worm of the dust. We didn't acknowledge the humanness as part of the journey. And we can spend a lot of time talking about our Christ, Edie the Christ, Nancy the Christ, yes, the Christ, the beautiful light, but the reality is we're human beings too. Jesus got angry. Jesus was afraid. Jesus cried. Jesus got ticked off. Jesus got frustrated. And when I met that man, it was like, maybe I could do it. Jesus was a lion because he expressed his emotion. Honestly, people tried to write that emotion out of the books, but look at the books that were written out. He was a real human being who walked the earth. He was a lion, and we have lions here that are not apologizing for how they feel. That I can come up here, and when I say I need help, I don't know how to do it, and I can cry, and it makes us stronger. The emotion of a lion makes us all stronger. It makes the pride stronger. It makes the individual stronger, and the example of being willing to do that makes the world a stronger place. We don't have to hide here. And on that note, I want to number 7. I'm going to invite Tempe to come up. Let's read it together. Courage isn't afraid to let its light shine. Many of you know that I have a grandson named Jaden. Jaden is a transgender man who is not welcome in probably every other church but one. Thank God for Pilgrimage down the street from us. We're a safe haven here on Sandy Plains because he would be welcome there. Jaden went to several different churches and was told he had to be different, had to change who he was. Couldn't be accepted in those churches. Now, Jaden's got a problem with religion because of those experiences, but Jaden is here every Christmas Eve and every Easter because Jaden is accepted here. Jaden can show up as his light, the way he knows his light to be, without the threat of being condemned or put down or needing to be changed. I wanted Tempe to share a little bit about this because Tempe's story touches me at depth because it's very similar to Jaden's.
Thank you. Very similar experience. I sang for years in a mega church here in Atlanta, and this has been years ago now. And it was one Sunday morning, and I'm in the choir loft, I'm in my little choir robe, and the pastor's praying, and I noticed that somebody had touched my leg, and I looked, and they pointed to the choir director. And I look up, and he points to me, and he said, and I went, and he said, yes. So I, go through the choir, and what I noticed is as I got to the end of the row, the choir pulled in, so my seat was no longer empty. And I go out to the little courtyard that adjoins the sanctuary, and the minister of music asked me a question pointedly, "Are you gay?" And I said, "Yes, sir, I am." And he said, "I'm going to have to ask you to leave. You can't sing in the choir and sing solos and be a part of this ministry and be gay. We just can't have it." And I said, "Yes, sir." And so as he walked away and went back into the church and the choir stands up and starts singing, I was left alone in the courtyard. It was a day a lot like today. I remember so vividly the sun was coming through and you could hear the birds singing. And I just thought, okay. So I walked up the steps as the choir singing, and I hung up my choir robe, and I thought, I think this is it for me in religion. I think I'm done with this. But the most beautiful part of this story isn't that. It's that me and God stood in a choir room in the place where I hung my choir robe, and Jesus, Spirit, Source, was with me. And we walked outside together, me and Spirit and God, and hopped in my convertible Volkswagen and flipped that lid down. And my big old long blonde hair was everybody. And I want you to know, here's the truth. I sang praises the whole way home because what I knew here was that is not God. God knows exactly who I am. And then that's man, and that's religion, and that's people who are learning. And, Richard and I talked about this. I was like, I forgave them right then because I didn't walk out and tote that burden. I just didn't. I wanted to forgive them, and I did so willingly. And I still send those people love. And a lot of those people have passed away now, and I wish love for them. I am so thankful for Unity North, y'all. Thank you for Unity North. We can all just be this beautiful mosaic of God. Thank you, Richard.
Tempe jumped into number 8. Let's go ahead and read number 8 together. Put the slide back up there, and let's read it. Courage isn't afraid to forgive and ask for forgiveness. Some of the greatest heroes on the planet are the ones that found the strength to say, I'm sorry. We're all humans, and it takes a great deal of courage to say, I blew it, I want to do better. And then Tempe hinted at the thing, sometimes the hardest thing to do is to let somebody off the hook of your resentment, of your very, very valid reason to be angry and to be upset. Sometimes I forgive you is the hardest thing in the world to do, but I believe that Tempe finding her way to Unity North and a community that accepts her, that Jaden finding a way to Unity North, a place that accepts him in his unique and magnificent living life, wide open way, comes from the ability to forgive those that hurt him. Number 9, courage isn't afraid to speak up and also not afraid to remain quiet. That's a hard one for a minister. Winston Churchill, I'll let him speak instead of the minister. It's fewer words. Let's read it. We have Winston Churchill's quote together. Courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen. Sometimes we think heroes are the loudest voice in the room. Sometimes we say that heroes are the ones that are waving a banner and screaming and shouting and yelling and getting on the news. And sometimes the heroes are the ones that just sit quietly and hold the truth, and hold the vibration, and hold the prayer, and hold the meditation, and know when the time comes to just sit down and resist there being a fight, an attack, and a war. What number are we on? 10? Together. Courage isn't afraid to inhabit its life. Have you noticed that the world we're in right now is a little bit screwed up? Yeah? It's fun. Glad we can laugh about it. Things are not going perfectly, and there are people in this room whose life is not going perfectly. Yet they inhabit the life. This is the hand that I've been dealt, and I will not shrink back from my responsibility with this hand. You got to know when to hold them. You got to know when to fold them. We're so good at folding them. I'm going to hold the cards, and I'm going to stay in the fire. And let's get wiser people than me. Let's go to the great wizard Gandalf. Let's hear what Gandalf had to say. Together, we do not get to decide which times we are born into. All we have to decide is what to do with that time that is given us. That's it. It may not be perfect. It may not be the hand that you wish you had been dealt, but it is the hand that you have. And lions say, here I am. Let me bring the best of who I am to the moment. Casey brings the best of what he has to the moment, and somehow the universe rushes in out of his courageous commitment to not play small and to get an airplane ticket and an ambulance donated to him as he flies to Poland and takes people across the border and says, you're loved here and you're going to be safe, and I know that it's hard. Here's a big one, the next one, number 11. This is a tough one for me, and I had to learn it, but I tell you, it's the best lesson. Together, courage isn't afraid to succeed through others. Breathe that in. There's no shortage of the amount of good that can be realized if we're not concerned with who gets the credit. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. I'm a lion. When one wins, we all win. When Chris Anderson wins, I win. And I'm as happy for her good and her blessing and her overcoming as I am for my own. That takes courage. I want to give credit to every volunteer lion in this community. Jim Sanford has been at that back door every Sunday for years and years and years, and I can almost quote him. Hello, how are you doing? Hello, how are you doing? Jim Sanford's not getting any credit for the welcoming at the door, yet Jim Sanford is the rock at the door. And we have rocks all over this community. How many people know who leads the Body, Mind, Spirit ministry around here? A few of you. Let me tell you, Julie Steele's name is not being plastered in the newspapers. But what happens at Body, Mind, Spirit is holy, it is sacred, and lives are being changed through that ministry. She's a lion. And she doesn't say, look at me. She doesn't say, look at me. She says, look at this beautiful person. Look at this beautiful person. Look at this amazing teacher. Learn from them, grow. And she stands back and she goes, look at all the good that's happening. Not once have I heard Julie Steele say, look at me. Look at me. That's a lion. Julie, raise your hand so we know where you sit. Thank you for being a lion. Now, the other side of this, number 12, courage isn't afraid to take undeserved blame. Last week, we talked about living beyond blame. And we can have the very best intention. We're not blaming anybody. We're not pointing fingers at anybody. And on our hero's journey, that's an important step. But guess what? There are people that are going to blame you for everything. You can be on your hero's journey, and there's going to be plenty of dragons that want to point their scales and their tail and their fire at you. And we may be able to not have blame in our own field, but it's going to show up at us. Sometimes we just need to suck it up, sit down and be quiet, and let the accusations fly with no need to fight or defend them. I won't go into the details, but my name was dragged through the mud in this community and across this country. And I fought it. I fought it tooth and nail, and I did not show up the way I should have shown up as the Christ light. I did not show up in my best. And when I finally sat down and said, I don't need to fight it, truth will out here. Truth will out. That's when the dragon was slayed, and there was peace in the valley. But boy, it looks like the hero who's going to wave the banner and punch back harder. And I did. Defending myself. And the punching back only made me look more guilty. It was the love that said, I don't need to defend my sins. I just need to be the saint. And that is to vibrate at the higher place. And that's what we do here. Truth will out always. Yes, say that with me. Truth will out always. Truth will always rise to the top. Take Teddy Roosevelt's word for it. Let's go ahead in these moments of attack. Let's read what Teddy Roosevelt had to say. It is paraphrased because he was all about the him and the he, but we're all about the one. And so read it with me. It is not the critic who counts, not the one who points out how the strong one stumbled or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the one who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly and spends themselves in a worthy cause, who at best knows achievement, and who at the worst, if they fail, at least fails while daring greatly. I love that quote. I am still cleaning up the rumors and the lies that were spread about me many, many years ago. They don't get in anymore. Truth will out. And that's really hard. People have said things about everybody in this room. People have accused you of things that weren't true, have spread lies about you to prove a case. The hero is the one that says, truth will out. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth will leave us all blind and toothless. I believe that was Martin Luther King Jr. who said something to that effect. I'm going to invite the band to come up. Number 12. Together, courage isn't afraid to invest. Courage is not afraid to put its time, its energy, and its resources into the vision and the dream of what is possible, even when it's dark. Courage invests consistently, persistently, and intentionally. Our lives and our church, this church where we stand today, as Ananias Nin counseled, will shrink or expand in proportion to our investment of courage. I'm going to invite somebody up at the offering to talk about our consistent giving program, but I want to state before he gets up here that the only reason this church is still standing through COVID, through 2 years of this being an empty room with substandard ability to reach people out there, was our consistent giving program. I stand today in witness and in testimony to the lions that said, it looks like everything's falling apart, yet you have my consistency, my buy-in, my part within the pride of lions to make this happen. And this church will expand in the future and grow in the future based upon the courage, or it will shrink and it will fade away based on the lack of courage of those who are willing to invest. I mentioned a lot of names here today. I'd love to have one day where I just came and said, let me point out the way all these people are making a difference in this community. Lions who said, we're going to do it anyway, even if somebody said it wasn't possible. We're going to go into a time of meditation right now. Where's my order of service? Come on up, Jeannie. We stand today as people who did not get defined by what was happening humanly, but called forth a power greater than them, and invested that spirit, that light, that Christ, that God, that Buddha, whatever you want to call it. Holy God, move in me, stir in me, individually and collectively. Take a big breath, and I want you to get in touch with the inner lion. And sometimes the roar is loud like we did it earlier, and sometimes it's silence, and it's stillness, and it's knowing the truth. Feel that lion, feel that roar, and let's sing these words together. Holy God, move in me. The lion knows to ask for help. Together we sing. Holy God, move in me. Holy God, move in me, that you may know my faith, and I may know your grace. Holy God, move in me. Where we all sit right here, right now, there's a challenge before us. Invite in something greater to move and stir in your life. Take your hand and place it upon your heart. And to know it, that as we know it individually, we know it as a collective. And we pray as a community, Holy God, move in Unity North. Holy God, move in the lives of everybody who steps foot into this place who may be hurting or afraid. We stand as one pride, as one community, strong in the acceptance of all people where they can let their light shine and heal and overcome. Together we sing. Holy God, move in me. Holy God, move in me, that you may know my faith, and I may know your grace. Holy God, move in me.
I invite you to adjust your posture and sit tall and well. Close your outer eyes if you've not already done so. aware of your body, aware of the ability to move your body, and that you're not using that ability at this time. The body, the physical realm of the hero's journey, the domain of the energy of calm. As you hold your body in a dignified position, you are a hero after all. You allow your body to be a conduit of calm, the steady focus required for the hero's journey. Letting your body remain in this place of effortlessness, you attend to your breath. The breath is the subtle energy of the hero's journey. Invite deep breaths into your body. And you can breathe in and out through your nose, or in through your nose and out through pursed lips. There's no wrong way to do it, but intentionalize the breath. Bring it into the forefront of your consciousness. And allow the breath to represent the energy of contentment, also required for the hero's journey. This is not ambivalence or apathy, the energy of accepting, being at peace with what is, but striving at the same time. You can strive and simultaneously have gratitude, being at peace with what is right now. Continuing to hold the body in a calm attentiveness and to contentedly breathe, you bring your attention to the space of the mind, or the screen of the mind, as if you're staring into your own forehead with closed eyes. Mental energy is also required on the hero's journey. And in this space, we cultivate the energy of commitment. The yogis call this Sankalpa Shakti, the power of the will to guide you steadily on your course. So now, having attended to the body, the breath, and the mind, we go to the heart. Bring your attention deep into the cave of your own heart, deep in the center of your chest. And this space is the goal, the source, the apical experience, the domain of courage. Focus into your heart and harness the previous energies. Harness calm, contentment, commitment, and now courage, so that you can move beyond attributes into the silent source that is our true nature. Remain in that space. Observe the silence where courage, commitment, contentment, and calm emerge from. Reflect on the relative quietness of the mind at this time. Be aware of the smoothness of the breath. Feel the stillness of the body. Bring back the silence as you gently open your eyes.
Thank you, Averill, for being a lion in our midst. I appreciate it. And I'm going to invite another lion to come up. I mentioned him, John Hicks, one of those lions in the community that's just the engine behind what's going on. He's a member of our finance committee and finance team. But he's going to ask you, what would you do if you were brave? And I'm going to turn it over to John, and then we're on the home stretch. We'll be done before 12:30, I promise you. Go ahead, John.
So I don't get 15 minutes to talk about consistent giving? Thank you, Richard. So I had all these notes written down, and then after listening to Richard today, it sort of scrambles your mind and says, well, is this really what I want to say? Or do I want to say it differently? But I am here to talk about consistent giving. And as Richard said, consistent giving is really the baseline of the financial stability of this organization. Those gifts come in every week, every month, and provide the resources that the board and the staff use to do all the wonderful things that we do in our spiritual community. So what I'm really here to do today is ask you to consider, if you are not a consistent giver, to make that leap. And as Richard said, courage is available to us. We just have to reach out and grab it. And take that courage that you have and make that step and say, yes, I'm going to be a consistent giver to this community because it's really important to me, and it is extremely valuable to all of us. And when you do that, I think you will suddenly feel even better. You take that step, say, I'm going to be a consistent giver, you're going to feel very good about it. So please consider that. I also want to comment, today I noticed as we came in, I knew these were coming, there's a little card that you can pick up in the foyer that says, I'm a consistent giver. And when the basket comes around later on today, you can throw that card in there proudly as a consistent giver. Then on the back of that card, it also has information about how to use our new QR code, which is on this slide right here, and highlights the ways you can give, either through the QR code, through the Unity North website, or on the app, or even text to give. So those are all ways that you can give. So use those resources, step up to the plate, go on the app, select giving, and then instead of it being a one-time gift, change that to a frequency rate of whatever regularity, whether it's weekly or monthly, that you want to give, and you can join the consistent giving program. If you're already a consistent giver, take this as an opportunity to consider, maybe I can bump my gift up a little bit, and go to the website again and do that. If you have trouble figuring out all the technology of this stuff, we're going to have board members and volunteers downstairs in Holy Grounds this afternoon. They can help you walk through the process and get you set up. So remember, no matter how large or how small your gift is, every gift creates to the incredible spiritual flow of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And I mentioned a lot of programs. It was very intentional. A lot of things in this church that are great, incredible blessings. The consistent giving program is what allows all those things to happen, those and 1,000 more. Right now, we're going to just pass the baskets. The ushers are going to come forward, and I'm going to invite us to say our affirmation blessing together. Let's put the affirmation blessing up there, and let's say it together. I am so blessed. I am so prosperous, and it is my great pleasure to share of my blessings and to share of my prosperity. And in the giving, the entire world is blessed. Thank you, God. Let's raise our voices in song with this Karen Ducker song, I Am So Blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. We have the lyrics up there. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. So grateful. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so. I'll give you the words. Blessed. I am so blessed. Affirm it again. I am so grateful. I am so grateful for all that I have, for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. One more time. I am so blessed. I called Tempe for our closing song, and I said, well, you've got to do this song, Tempe. I know it's not necessarily in her country wheelhouse, but she made it her own, and I'm going to invite you to pay attention to the chorus, because that's our closing song, to listen to that chorus, and we're going to sing it. Tempe Red Hawk, take it away.
I used to bite my tongue and hold my breath, scared to rock the boat and make a mess. So I sat quietly, agreed politely. Yes, you lent your hand, I had a choice. Then you pushed me past the breaking point. I stood for nothing, so I fell for everything. You held me down, but I got up, already brushing off the dust. You hear my voice, you hear that sound, like thunder gonna shake the ground. You held me down, but I got up. Get ready, 'cause I've had enough. I see it all, I see it now. I've got the eye of a tiger, a fighter, dancing through the fire. 'Cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me roar louder, louder than a lion. 'Cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me roar. Oh, 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 oh. You're gonna hear me roar. Now I'm floating like a butterfly, stinging like a bee. I've earned my stripes. I went from zero to my own hero. You held me down, but I got up. Get ready, 'cause I've had enough. I see it all, I see it now. Got the eye of a tiger, a fighter, dancing through the fire. You look good, 'cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me roar louder, louder than a lion. 'Cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me roar. Oh, 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 oh. You're gonna hear me roar. Sound good. Woo. I used to bite my tongue and hold my breath, scared to rock the boat and make a mess. You been there? I've got the eye of a tiger, a fighter, dancing through the fire. 'Cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me roar louder, louder than a lion. 'Cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me. Come on, y'all. You're gonna hear me roar.
Thank you, band. Let me hear one more roar from you. Go be a lion. Let's take that chorus one more time and let's go out of here being the lion that we know ourselves to be. I got the eye of the tiger, a fighter, dancing through the fire. Sing it from the gut, and let's take it into the world, and let's be the Christ. Let's be the light. Let's be the lion. So much for joining us here in the room, online. Go see John and the team on their consistent giving program. Have a blessed and beautiful week. Enjoy this beautiful earth.